All right, the first preseason game is in the books for the Dallas Cowboys. They didn't allow a touchdown until 4 seconds left in the football game. Maybe bailed out by a bad penalty, the Rams were. They get the game-winning score despite 4 interceptions from Stetson Bennett. Rams win 13-12, but the wins-losses aren't the same. Like, I don't care about wins-loss. I'm glad football's back. This is about evaluating your talent. Who wins, who loses. As long as you're not betting on it, doesn't matter. So if you are happy that some form, even if it is just the preseason, of Cowboys football is back, like the video for me on today's show. Some takeaways from today's game, but first up, the Chuma Edoga injury. I'm sure we'll get more Monday or Tuesday, but as of filming, just that he left the game with a foot injury. We don't know much else in terms of how bad it is, whatever it was. He's been a bit nicked up at training camp, so they played a lot more Awesome Richards and Earl Bostic and Tyler Guyton. Let's tell them maybe they plan to. I thought Bostic was pretty bad, by the way. I thought he struggled out there. I kind of want to see more Awesome Richards at left tackle and not Bostic. But Edoga, foot injury. We'll see what the long-term status is there. All right, we have to begin today's show with the Trey Lance conversation. There were some good moments. There were some bad moments. And I don't know how much of it from the live gameplay watching it, how much of it is fully on Lance. Thought the O-line wasn't great, especially for a good portion of that second quarter. They didn't really run the football. That's fine. I don't care. You're trying to evaluate Lance. Like, throw it. That's fun. That makes sense to me. But raw box score. Man, 25 of 41 for 188. It's not good. And there were misplays. Like, they had a touchdown pass. Lance to Cropper, slot corner route was wide open. And Lance missed him. And look, there were drops too. We will talk about the wide receivers. Some of them played great. Some of them were pretty bad, frankly. There were drops. There were also a lot of high throws out of Lance. That raises concerns for me. Because if you miss high, going to be picked. And frankly, there was a pick six he threw that the DB missed. Like, it went through his hands and bounced off Deontay Burnett for a drop. So I was whelmed or underwhelmed by Trey Lance. Yeah, the drops were there, but it's the backups. I need to see more playmaking as a passer. I know he can run. I know that. And he ran great. He was the best runner on the field today. That's not what you want from your quarterback perspective. So I whelmed. Oh, I like unsure. It's a good one too. Give me your one-word reaction to how Trey Lance played. Sound off for me in the comments section of today's show. Number 2, INT City, baby. Apparently the 4 in Stetson Bennett stands for 4 interceptions. You had interceptions today from Marquise Bell, the safety, who I thought Marquise Bell was the best player out there. Now, he was one of like 3 guys or 4 guys who are going to start or play real snaps for either team. So that makes sense, right? Julius Wood had an INT. I thought Eric Scott did not play well in the first half up until the INT. Like, I thought it was a nice INT. He kind of peeled off his man and picked the pass off. It was a good play by Scott. I think he needed that. He went from loser's list to I think he'll be on kind of neutral list despite, I think had a rough showing, but the huge interception there, right? Brock Moggensen had a nice INT. What maybe gives you pause from going, we're going to be the league leaders in takeaways. One of those guys is going to play real snaps for you, Marquise Bell. Those throws were Stetson Bennett's fault. It's not like this, you're making an unreal play or, you're doing crazy stuff in the back end. It's like, yeah, the linebacker did a hook zone and the quarterback somehow never saw him. It was basic cover 3. At least I think that was on that play because that's where the linebackers normally go. And threw it right to him. So I'm glad he had INTs, like making plays on defense. You cannot be mad at the defensive performance overall, but, preseason, grain of salt, if you will. Today's show is made possible by Game Time. Game Time is the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. See the view from your seat on your phone before you buy. All-in pricing shows your total cost up front. You can save on last-minute deals on tickets right to the start of the event, even an hour after it starts. So if you're going to a baseball game, Game Time is the app to use. Download the Game Time app, create your account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Don't forget that. But create your account, redeem code CHATSPORTS for Chat Sports to get $20 off. Download Game Time today for last-minute tickets, the lowest price guaranteed. Let's talk Mazi Smith. Seems like after a couple drives, they sat him. I think in general, and I want to go back and try to rewatch as best as possible. It's a little tricky sometimes during the live show. I thought the Rams ran the ball best when it wasn't at Mazi and or he wasn't out there. Which, for what the Cowboys are asking of Mazi Smith, I think it is a big deal. And I saw several tackles. I saw a really nice, I don't think they credit it to him. He had a TFL on the screen. Like that was a loss. So I thought for Mazi Smith overall, probably a pretty good showing relative to expectations and acknowledging the Rams starters weren't out there on the offensive line. But given how much there is being expected of Mazi Smith, I thought a pretty solid performance overall. You know, is he suddenly, Aaron Donald Vita Vea? No, of course not. But I thought he played pretty solid watching live. Now, we will be back next Saturday for a 10 p.m. Eastern first kickoff for Cowboys Raiders. We're going up against the Raiders report in Super Chats and everything. We got to bring our A game. Don't miss out. Hit that sub button, youtube.com/@CowboysTV. We'll spend a lot of time on this one. I thought some of your wide receivers flashed, and some of them did not. I'll make note, by the way, Jalen Tolbert did not play. Clearly your wide receiver 3. They feel really good about him to not even bother putting him out there. That was a big deal. I thought Jalen Brooks played great. Now, they didn't play him that much either. I think it's a good sign for his roster status as being like, wide receiver 4 or 5. They didn't play Turpin either, by the way. 2 catches, 49 yards, had a great deep ball from Rush. Frankly, it probably should have been 6 if Rush leads him better, but Brooks made the catch. That was awesome. Your draft pick, Ryan Flournoy. That was bad. Had a fumble, had a drop, had a penalty that was action on him called against somebody else. Look, he missed time in the preseason, and that was bad. So I was very disappointed by how Ryan Flournoy played. Now, Tyron Billy-Johnson had 0 catches. Maybe he wasn't getting open. Maybe there was too much pressure. Maybe Lance was missing him. But I will say, Billy Johnson had 2 different kick returns for 35 yards, 34 and 36. I wonder if that last roster spot is going to go to a return man option. Billy Johnson, they gave him reps there. They gave David Durden reps, who was pretty quiet today as well. And they gave Moreno-Cropper reps. I liked what I saw from him. He had a couple nice catches, was targeted 6 times, caught 4 of them, a lot of underneath stuff. He's a slot receiver, was also the punt returner. I thought Cropper continued a pretty good recent week of training camp stuff there. I also thought Kelvin Harmon made 2 really nice catches. Both the balls he caught were high. Like, those were high passes he jumped up and pulled down. That was impressive for Kelvin Harmon. Now, he only going to make the roster. The draft community still has hope for him, I suppose. But I thought he played well. I thought Racey McMath did not play well. 3 targets, did not catch any of them. Most importantly, the third down, Trey Lance with a blitzer bearing down on him delivers a dart to Racey McMath. And it hits McMath right in the chest, and he drops it. It was a good throw by Lance. Third down, big play. Didn't do anything with it. Fighting for a spot. Practice squad roster. Got to make plays, man. Got to make plays. So grade the Cowboys overall against the Rams. A, B, C, D, or F? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. One last note, very small sample size for Rico. I thought he ran well, though. 3 carries, 14 yards. That's 2.5 more, 2.4 more than Malik Davis. Different offensive lines to an extent, but Davis had nothing go longer than 4. I think the burst is there. I thought he had some good vision. I honestly think Dowdle shouldn't play next week. I think if you're going to sit Zeke, you should sit Dowdle too. I think Dowdle's honestly, he's on this team. I think he's your best back. We'll talk about winners and losers tomorrow, but I think Dowdle's on the winner's side of it. So before we go, one last question. Who gets the game ball? Let me know in the comments of today's show.